Got it.
Well, hello, everyone. My name is Matt Richardson, and I'm the Director of Intelligence and Investigations for the Anti-Human Trafficking Intelligence Initiative. Among my roles, I'm a public educator and speaker on the topic of online safety, which is what we're here to discuss today. I've also served over 2 years with NGOs, non-government organizations, where I've done predator identification work, with my specializations being open source intelligence, or OSINT, and darknet forensics. In my current role, I execute and lead complex operations, international operations, with a variety of law enforcement partners around the world. In my estimation, I have over 500 hours in the field, and I've learned a few things about how the predators, the bad guys, the ones we fear, will look to target and identify victims and exploit our beloved children. And today, we are going to talk about practical, relevant, doable family strategies for protecting those that we love most. Over to you, Paul.
Thanks, Matt. So I'm Paul Rocho. I'm the youth and family counselor here at MFRC Trenton Mental Health Team, and excited to have Matt with us because I know as a parent, there's things that I want to know about how to keep my family safe on the internet. So Matt, if there was, I guess, what is the one thing that to start this conversation that you would say that, yeah, as a parent, we need to know as far as internet safety goes?
Great question. What a way to start it off, Paul. This is an overwhelming topic. Let us be candid. It involves elements of sexuality, violence, and technology. And that is a bad recipe. But wait, breathe. As parents and caring adults, you know more than you're giving yourself credit for. The technology is what I most frequently hear. That's the most overwhelming part. So let's take control of it. A few tips on this. How can I keep up with 50 apps and games and all of that? And you can't. I can't. So what do? Limit our children to, I give mine 3. And if he wants another one, he has to get rid of one. Before I approve, 3 is manageable. I'll tell you how to keep up with and learn about it in a moment. 3 can be done even by busy working parents like yours truly. I always do a quick Google search on a new app and vet it to make sure I'm satisfied it's going to be a safe experience. Some of them are worse than others. What I look for, Paul, a safe app should have a strong mechanism for reporting abuse and harassment. They should have a strong trust and verification team. Those are the ones that verify age and consent. And if they don't have those, I don't like those ones. They should have strong privacy, easy to use privacy controls and safety controls as well. If they're not all over the news about being inundated with badness and evil, and I've got those other checkpoints in place, I'm okay. The next thing I do is a coffee break Google, Paul. Google it. I'm going to allow it. I learned the privacy settings, some of the key features and functions. That can be done in 10 minutes on a coffee break while your kids are playing Nintendo. Just on your phone. You don't need a supercomputer. Your phone, coffee break, Google, parents. Finally, the other with the technology, keeping up. You know, every week or so, I might, on a Sunday morning coffee, do a quick internet search, see what's trending and new. Is there anything I need to be aware of? Once we've approved an app, Paul, there are 2 pretexts that I hear all the time when I work in my field. The predators count on your kids having access without supervision because their supervision, they cannot get what they want. And they trade tips on how to get kids to take the device into the room or the bathroom with them. That device should never be in a bathroom, ever. And if my kids use it in the room, but the door's open. I have supervision that's reasonable. One more thing, parents, there's no such thing as darknet predators or TikTok predators. They don't exist. We get laughed at when we say things like that. The predators laugh because they simply go where the kids are. So any place that there are kids or vulnerable young people that predators navigate to, Paul, in the 80s, malls, arcades, pool halls, there were bad actors there. Flash forward to today, kids are on TikTok, they're on TikTok. Kids are on Roblox, they're on Roblox. So we need to be aware that anything their kids are using, we have to be present and engaged as parents. That doesn't mean saying no, it means saying yes responsibly, friends.
So with that, Matt, because I know lots of my clients, they tell me they're on Roblox and they're playing this game, they're playing that game, and as a parent, I ask myself, geez, how do I ensure my kid isn't making friends with one of these predators posing as, little Timmy down the road? How does parents do we focus in on that?
And that's a very important point, Paul. You're on point, Paul. Do not spy on them. All that happens is they figure it out, and they will, and it drives them underground. They keep things from us, and they secretly get on these apps and these games anyway. Yeah, if their friends are going to be on them, we can't control that all the time. Create in an environment of trust and open communication. Okay, with monitoring who's on my child's Roblox, for example. He knows up front. I tell him, I want all passwords. I don't want an argument if I want to look. And I will be asking. And if you agree to that, we can proceed. Okay, that sounds fine. He will actually ask me, Paul, can I add Greg? Who's
Okay.
Greg? Well, Greg's in my class, or he's in grade 4 with me. Oh, you know Greg? Yeah, from school. Oh, okay, you can have Greg. Other times he said, hey, can I add this person? And I used to just flat out say, no, no, no. But what I have him do, everyone, trust but verify. So I say, what's the username? And he'll pull it up. I'll pull up my phone and I'll Google dork it. Sorry, I will Google search.
Okay.
And I'll see if that username pops up at all. If it doesn't at all, that's not good enough. It's no. If I can verify it is in fact somebody who is what they say they are and they're age appropriate, okay, that's happened with me. Other times, a warning here. One of the usernames I ran on one occasion, the username had accounts with adult websites, but they were 9 years old. Then I started looking at the chat, and it wasn't a private chat. It was in the open part of the game, and I could see grooming tactics and leading questions. And I knew it because I see it all the time in my job. And I said no, and I explained why in an age-appropriate way. I didn't just say no, no, because. And I explained it gently. He did get it. So
Okay.
check it manually. Don't rely on software like NetNanny. Manually check the chat logs and the friend list and ask the questions.
Okay. And now you mentioned, like searching it on these sites to see that there's things. And I know you've shared a document with us, but you've also mentioned grooming tactics. And for parents that, aren't aware of what these tactics would look like, Matt, what sort of things should we be looking for in grooming type behaviors online?
Another good question. That's a hard one, and that is probably the most important, because grooming tactics, there's no technological fix if only they work. I know I'm on project teams where we're working on algorithms to catch it linguistically, the patterns, but it's not easy to do. And humans will always be smarter. So go back to the 80s when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Grooming tactics. Was there an adult that seemed to take too strong of an interest in me? Were they trying to get access, unsupervised access with me? Were they offering me bribes, candy, video gaming systems, money? Were they too good to be true? Like too fast of a friend?
Yeah.
Too much interest too fast? Do they try to get me to keep secrets, even little tiny minutia ones from my family?
Yeah.
That's grooming. So we know what it looked. That's what I'm saying, Paul, is we know what we're looking for because we're taught about it. We know all this. So online, it's not entirely different. It's been augmented. Yeah. It is different in a shopping mall in person than it is online. So where does the differences begin? Access to victims has never been greater than it is now at the internet. So hence opportunities increased. It's less risky because it's not contact. And there is some degree, never complete, but some degree of anonymity online. Plus, they can groom 50, 60. I had one file, I remember something like this guy was grooming like well over 200 kids at once. He had 6 devices, all he did other than work and sleep. They are motivated. What do we look for? If we notice there's a new friend, it could be on text or it could be in Roblox, it could be on Instagram, TikTok, it's the same. Is there a new person in their life? They've known them they connected 3 days ago, but there's 150 messages. Oh, that's not normal. Yeah. our kids need to know this. If we connect with someone online because we share a common interest in a game and they seem too interested, they say things we want to hear, they flatter us, they're always available and responding all hours of the day. They ask you things your friend would. How was your day? Did you make the team? How is life in Trenton since you got reposted? Are you still lonely? They will sound and look like a friend. It's hard because people are being told that, and put yourself in their shoes, Paul. If you, I deal with adults in the same boat. They're newly single. They haven't dated in 20 years. And they meet somebody on a dating app or site who makes them feel love. The endorphins kick in, the dopamine. They see everything through rose-colored glasses, and they miss the warning signs because it feels good to believe it. Our kids need to hear that. It will feel good. But we've got to teach them to think like critically about it and cognitively, because if you're in person, Paul, do you have instincts that kick in? Someone's creepy, stands too close, or maybe they're following you as you're walking home. We don't have them online. They don't work. Sensory deprived. Kids need to be told it's not a one and done, over and over. Have your thinking cap on, be thinking critically. Is this too good to be true? Are they trying to get you to keep things from your family? Like your friendship, they wouldn't understand it. Your family won't let us be friends. They will threaten them if they don't get what they want. The kids need to know 3 words: stop, block, talk. Stop talking, don't explain it, you have to be polite. Block them, but don't delete anything. Talk to a trusted adult and get help. They will say that they'll be blamed, they'll lie to them. The police will take you away from your family. They'll threaten to hurt their family. These are threats that they use common. Kids need to be, they need to be assured they're allowed to make mistakes and they can always come to you. You won't blame them to take their tech away. That's one of the main reasons kids won't go to you, Paul. They don't want to be blamed and have their tech removed from their life.
Absolutely. And, as a parent, and of course, mine are a little more grown, been through all, but, as a parent, and I'm listening and, and I'm always terrified, Matt, and listening to this, but what you're saying is so valid that if we try and take their tech and because in today's day and age, it is a necessity that they have this ability to have this social media presence with their friends. So I understand that. And I'm so thankful that today, we're talking about, hey, parents, take a breath. Yeah, there's dangers out there, but hopefully through this video and some of the links we're going to share, you're going to feel better about your child being on there. And we couldn't have a better guy today than to have Matt with us to sort of share this stuff with us. So Matt, having said all that, if you were talking to a parent that was just sort of panicked about their child online, share with me, I guess, some of those steps you would go through with your child to say, this is what I expect of you. And that 3-word one there about block and tell, I can't remember what it is.
Stop, block, talk.
There you go. Stop, block, talk, which I think is wonderful. Tell me more about that piece and how we would convey to children that the importance of those 3 steps.
Oh, great. So before we even do that, let's try to understand what's happening a bit more.
Sure.
We can do this because, and ask yourself honestly, parents out there, Paul, I'm going to say it straight up. Are you glad that there wasn't social media when you were coming of age and growing up? I know I am. I made all sorts of mistakes and took risks and did stupid things that stayed in the 80s and early 90s when I was growing up. There's no permanent record of it. And think to yourself, when you were growing up, were you curious about relationships? I'm sure you were. Would you have used the internet to explore that interest? Probably. Have you ever said anything mean about anyone, Paul? I have. Would you at 13 have said it online? Probably, if you had it. So we don't want to look away from that, but to give it some levity and understanding, they're mostly doing things that we would have done coming of age and growing up, except there's the complication of the internet and the kids don't have it easy. There's a lot of pressure that comes with that. Absolutely. So what would I say to a parent about how to talk with them about it? I have a simple recipe that works. So I'm sharing with you what I have tried, tested, and true in the field, learned from the predators, and I've found what works and doesn't as a father, as a parent, caring adult. Keep the conversation on a positive tone. Yeah. I'd balance it. Sometimes I talk about a new risk or what if, or I see an article in the news and I use it as a teaching moment. Let's look at this article and talk about it. Other times I go, have you tried that? Hey, have you got that new skin in Fortnite? Did you see this new feature? Whoa, can we try that tonight? Yeah. So balance it with the good and positive stuff. Show them stories about the family. We had a family locally that suffered a tremendous tragedy recently. Through social media, almost $500,000 was raised by local residents. That's a story they got to hear too, is people aren't inherently bad. Social media and technology are not inherently bad, but there is risks and there are people that ruin that. So we have to have the conversation. I try to just I just do it as my gut tells me. So if I'm sitting up one night watching a movie with my son and we're having a light evening, I don't talk about it. Just watch the movie and laugh and catch up on our day. But if I see a moment, I weave it in and go, hey, I found an article. I want to look at it with you. So it's not a one and done. I do it in short bite-sized bits and I balance the conversation. I'm really heavy. I tell them about grooming tactics and examples. And I do it again and again because it's not a one and done. It's like muscle memory with a sport.
Absolutely.
They hear it enough, they'll see a grooming tactic, at 1,000 yards, not 10 yards. So speaking with them about that, empowering them that you can do, because it was done with us when we were kids. We just have to recognize that we just know more than we give ourselves credit for. Breathe. And Paul, I'm going to add one thing. The dad and mom guild out there. All right. I had a parent recently. I never should have allowed him to have TikTok. I don't even know what I was thinking. I feel bad. I had to work and I didn't supervise him as much, and something bad happened. And I'm like, whoa, my dear, that's not even fair. You had to work from home or part at the office, part at home. You had kids that needed homeschooling. What would we have done without social media and tech? We would have been unable to perform our jobs and provide, and our kids would have been isolated, even worse. Give yourself a little bit of a break. I'm in that club, Paul. I gave my son Fortnite earlier than I would have, and in fact, TikTok, because I felt the benefit of having that added tool outweighed the risk. But again, I did it responsibly, I did exactly the way I'm laying it out with you.
Absolutely. And I wholeheartedly agree. I mean, with the parent guilt, and we do that as parents, and anything that happens, what is the alternate is putting them in a bubble, and putting your child in a bubble is not the answer, because that's going to do more damage than in letting them experience life and experience some failure, because we learn from those, and we all have them.
We either succeed or we learn.
Yeah.
Right?
Perfect. Well said.
And mistakes are one of the best ways to learn and become smarter and better people. That's what I mean. The kids are going to make them. I say to my son, it's not if you do it, it's when. But when it happens, come to me. Right?
Absolutely.
So that does actually give them comfort. And I've said to my son, buddy, I'm glad it wasn't there when I was a kid, because you're not really doing anything I wouldn't have done, and that's normal. You unfortunately have to be more careful because of this. But I do acknowledge that, hey, I know it's not easy. And you don't want them in a state of arrested development where they're socially awkward and there's mental health issues with being isolated. That's a bigger risk than a predator. Statistically, they're pretty small in number. When you look at the whole totality of the world, it's different and we're online. But we have to, I'm a big fan of, I let the kids use it. One of the things I teach is how to use it responsibly, how to build a positive image online to enhance career opportunities. That's all a part of this conversation. It's not all bad. That's a piece of it. I was going to say, what was I going to say? Sorry, I just lost my train there. Paul.
Yeah.
In your role, so I don't deal with youth face to face. I do teach, and that's different. A lot of it's remote. Paul, in your role, is there anything that you see in person that might indicate something is wrong in a child or a teen's life? Are there red flags that you might share with our parents for in-person observation?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, part of the counseling craft is the observation and reading body language and facial expressions, and I got to say, there are telltale signs. You ask the right questions, and they give you the response, and then that leads you down a certain path. what I do find is, once they're 12, they have complete confidentiality. And when you ask, have you spoke to your parents about this?
Oh,
Right. And then that's as which comes back to what you're saying is if we take that approach with our children, they won't come talk to us about these things. Right.
that's true, Paul. And I hope everybody heard Paul's piece there, because that's really super important and central to this whole conversation right here where we're at. Number one, if you're watching this video, you are what I call a present and engaged parent or caring adult. And that means your likelihood of winning this thing, example, raising them safely, you've tipped the balance in your favor just by being present and engaged. That's a huge factor. Paul, you notice red flags, body language changes, in a drastic change in attire. It could be going from conservative to provocative dress. It could be the other way around. If they've been assaulted, they want to cover up. Bruising and marks. All of a sudden, if their behaviors change and they're missing a lot of school and it's not normal for them.
Yeah.
If they have unexplained absences at certain times of the day and they're clamming up about it. Drastic changes in social circles. These are all the same risk factors, by the way, that Paul would see in real life that our parents looked for in us in 1987.
Yeah.
If the stuff's happening online, there could be indicators like posts that allude to something terrible happening, but more likely you're going to notice those red flags Paul mentioned and I reiterated in real life. The abuse could be happening here, but you're going to notice it at the dinner table. And there's no technology to fix that. That's just being aware and present in our kids' lives. One hack or tip, I know I made mistakes when I was 12, 13, 14 that I wouldn't want to talk to my dear old mom and dad about. But my parents had this right, and I say it now. This was true in 1989. It's true now. If you have something you want to talk about that you don't want to talk to me or your dad about, my mom would say, you can talk to Aunt Shelley or Uncle Bob. We trust them to help you. They will not tell us, but they will help you. We don't always have to know. We will respect that. Give them an out. Have you told mom? Paul mentioned that. Have you told mom and dad? No. That's why we give them an option or two that we are comfortable with in the event they don't want to disclose to you. And that can happen. Give them the option. It's really simple. Tell me, love them every day. Ask them how their day was. They will talk about stuff you're probably not interested in. My son will talk like 30 minutes of breathing about Fortnite or Roblox. Those aren't my things. He's talking to me, so I listen and I nod and I engage and I ask questions. You can never say I love you too much. You can never ask them about their day, be interested in their lives, be a participant in it. You get that going. How far can anything really get if there's love and trust and respect before they go to you and go, hey, I sent an image I shouldn't have. I thought it was a 13-year-old girl. Now they're saying this and I'm really scared. They won't say that unless that environment of open communication and trust are there. They know you've got their back, that you will fix it, not blame them. They know the lies. Police won't take you away. No one's going to come and do anything. We will fix it. And we won't take it away from you. We will fix it together. We love you and trust you. And we'll always believe you. That they can't hear enough.
Absolutely. And I advocate for that for so much. I mean, the message really is there's nothing you can do that would make me stop loving you.
Exactly.
Right. And I'll always understand. I may not be happy about it, but I'll never leave you stranded. I'll always support you. We'll get through it together. And I think that's a message. And sometimes, as they get older and I see a lot of frustration in parents. I talk to a lot of parents that are frustrated that they don't know how to fix their child's issues that they're bringing from school with the anxiety and the depression. And sometimes, point them in the right direction. This guy for that stuff. But just give them a hug and tell them it's going to be okay. You're there for them.
You can see from Paul here, he is the right guy to go to. He's a compassionate, loving, caring man and father, and he's switched on. He's got it together. Get help. That's my final point, I think, for today is get help. Paul's there. He's got your back. He can help with those issues. If it's a law enforcement incident, I'll give you a few tips. Police, true with school boards too, if there's bullying, okay? School administrators, teachers, and police officers want help. They want to help. I would know. We have to help them help us. If there's a situation of abuse or bullying or happening online, threatening messages, posts, documents, screenshot, don't delete anything, screenshot everything. Even paste it to a quick Word document, but get it before it's gone. It could be there today and gone tomorrow. It's the internet. Document what's happening. Talk to your child and at least create the structure of the conversation so that when you do go to law enforcement or a busy school principal, you're going to be traumatized. There's nothing worse as a parent than our children hurting. And it's unfortunate, but it's true. If we experience trauma, they say that we make the worst witnesses because we're traumatized.
Yes.
Prepare for the conversation, get some air support or help if you need, create a flow of events with your screenshots. I actually had a amazing military mom who had it was a situation involving her child online where it was threats, it was scary. And I'm not a police officer, but I did help her prepare for that conversation. I showed her, let's get screenshots. Let's put notes here. When the police officer came, he said, what can I do, lady? I'm not the Facebook police. And she goes, well, what about this? And handed the phone with the email. And he goes, oh, and he sat down for 45 minutes, took notes. He reported it to the city's ICAC, Internet Crimes Against Children unit, who sent 2 emails. One, thank you, we're investigating. Don't communicate with them if you haven't. Don't do that. The second one was he was involved in a province-wide child sexual abuse material CSAM bust in October 2018. He went down and she took screenshots. She went and got the help. She was ready for the conversation. That is something we can all do. That's within your grasp and mind. So I would say make sure you're getting help and you're not alone out there. Paul, you're in the industry. There are a lot of helpers in our communities. You're a very resilient, amazing, remarkable group of people of whom I greatly admire. And I thank you very warmly, kindly for your service to our country. You've got us, and believe me, there are helpers out there, and we got you too. Get the help. We got your back.
And Matt, I got to say that last piece, because that was going to be my final question is if we do notice that, our child's going through some of this, either even just bullying at school, how to handle it. And I think you've answered that beautifully and document the screenshots, go to the appropriate people. Wonderful answer. Now, in closing, I'm assuming that with this video, there's going to be some links to some of the resources you shared with us previously.
Yeah, the resources have been provided. If they haven't, or I can resend, I will provide. I have a couple of guidebooks that I created, I penned myself. Within there are a couple of links for like reporting abuse. There's one on removing unwanted images from the internet. And there's 2 parent guides. So one is for tricky people, which is what we refer to as stranger danger. Yeah. It's a gentle care. It's written with great care and thought by me as a loving dad with a little boy. I didn't want to scare him. Teachable moments, conversation starters, grooming tactics, all within, which I provide for each and every one of you. The other one is a targeted parent internet safety guide, which piggybacks off tricky people. So it's a bit more of the how to manage it in the online realm.
Fantastic.
You'll get all that stuff though. Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely. And, I want to take the opportunity to say thank you so much, Matt, and to our parents. Keep checking the Facebook page, because it's not uncommon for us to have Matt join us for a live webinar and provide in-depth information for parents, children, and other situations that go on within the MFRC here. So keep an eye out for that, because we'd love to see you come out for a live where you could ask Matt questions directly.
Thank you for that. And I would be honored to do anything I can anytime, Paul. If it's I do these in about 90 minutes and they're fulsome. Other times I have audiences watch the video and I get asked to come in and do a 30-minute Q&A town hall. There's many ways I can support you as needed, and I am all in. And again, Paul, thank you. And thank you to our men and women in service for everything you do for us. And I hope you enjoyed and learned some stuff. And I hope I get to see you soon.
Have a great day.